either going to be started inside or grown outside in February. So this is how I store them. So I just go to my February jar in February and I know what's going to be. Now these are my peas, and these ones these ones are all going to be sown outside. So they all go in a container outside. Now these are all collected myself, and these are snow peas mammoth. Okay, so those ones I collected myself. Radish go outside in February. This is another pea one, and this is another pea one. You can plant parsnip outside in February, but I don't. I wait until March. I just find they're so long to germinate and they sit in their cold. So they do say. And then this is just for storing. And then these are the ones that I start inside. And I'll go through those. But if I collect the seeds myself, this is how I store them. So hopefully you never threw away the roll film containers, because they're excellent on storing foods. I can imagine you can't.
Your pill containers are also really good.
Okay, then all of that goes in there for February, and then that goes in the deep freeze. Now, what I've got for you down there on storing seed is to check. Some seeds will not survive the deep freeze. If they're tropical seeds, they won't survive the deep freeze. These ones are all flower seeds. And again, you see, these are ones that I've collected myself. So they're all saved in these little containers. So different ones that I've saved. So make sure I've got it in an airtight container, so make sure they're really dry. And if you're collecting your own seeds, and I'm sure Mary Alice is going to emphasize this, you've got to make sure they're totally dry before you put them away. And then also check your references, and I'll go through the references later on, as to whether they're okay to be in the deep freeze or not, because there's some that won't make it in the deep freeze. As Frida has got, you need to know what you need to do to plant, sow the seeds. So as she's got, doesn't need stratification. It might need soaking for a certain length of time to soften the seed coat, such as peas. And just on an aside on peas, our vegetable guru at Barb and my garden club, he soaks his peas and then he plants them in a gallon pot in his greenhouse in February. And he pricks them out and plants them in the garden in mid-March. So he actually doesn't plant them straight into the garden in February. Then she has, do they need to be chilled or frozen for several weeks? And one of the things that I bought for you, I got things a little bit mixed up here, but there is a sheet somewhere, and don't know where it is, but it's on New Zealand tree seeds, where it's got excellent instructions, and I don't know what's happened to it. We'll find it. But it's got excellent instructions on how to look after your seeds. And so that's one, and it doesn't have to be native New Zealand seeds. You can just go online and it will tell you what you need to do, whether you need to chill or freeze them or nick them with a sharp knife, etc. Does it need to be covered or uncovered? And that will tell you normally on the seed package, but also if it doesn't, check one of your references. Does it need light or dark? Does it need bottom heat? Not all do. And when you look up the references, it does give a certain temperature for Meconopsis as an example, but I have the best luck with Meconopsis, which is right here, if I don't give it any bottom heat. So not all of them like bottom heat. And is it a big seed or a small seed? And as Frida has, handle it with dry sand. But you know, some of them, like these poppies, it's very hard to sow them thinly. And when I prick them out, what I do is I take one, and it'll have a whole lot stuck to it as well. I bury them, because I got so many, I don't need them all. And so you're not pulling the roots apart and destroying the roots. Now, the equipment that you need. Frida's got about a warm and a cool light tube and have it down low. I have mine down low, and then I have them hooked up to a timer, and they would only be about 3 inches above the seeds that I'm germinating. Then use trays. Now I've got different trays for you. These ones here that I wouldn't let Frida carry, and she was trying to help me because they got all my labels on them, and I don't want to lose all my labels, are my tomatoes and my peppers. So that's how I start those. And the reason why I use these for the tomatoes and the peppers is that these are easy to tear apart.
No, by
So you actually
peppers.
Peppers.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see they were only started this week and they're already germinating. Okay, but they're easy to tear apart.
So
You
are
can
those newspaper ones that you make?
no, these are these ones here.
Jiffy Pop.
These are the Jiffy Pops.
Yeah. Oh.
And so what you do is you put that, each of those will take 25. So you put 25 in, you put warm water in, you let them, and some of them will float, you gotta keep on pressing them down so they don't. And you let them, they'll come up to about this high, or you'll see that you can come around and have a look at those afterwards. Then what you have to do is I take the end of a teaspoon, but as they've increased, you've got to pull this away. Okay, this little muslin here, pull it away, so that you've got it open like this to plant your seeds. Okay?
So how many seeds do you put in each one?
About 4. I noticed one there. I've got about 8. And then I take the end of a teaspoon and put the soil over them just to lightly cover the soil. So that's the Jiffy Pots. The other ones that you can use are and they have a lid. It has a lid. As you can see, these are well used, so that's the lid. Okay. The other ones you can use are these here with a lid, and you can put this type of thing in. Okay, now I don't use those at all because I find these easier, and if I'm not using those, I'll tell you the other thing that I use, but that is what some people use. As Frida has said, they've got to be sterile. So what I do is I've got trays of these that have all been washed as soon as I've used them, rinse them in 10% bleach, and they're stored away to be used next time. These are all washed and put away when I'm finished with them. Rather than leaving them to do them all at once, it would be an awful job. Okay, and then the bottom heat, these the heating pads. I use mainly the double ones, but that's a single one that this one will sit on. Or you can use, as Frida had originally, the heating cables. I do have some heating cables, but you mentioned they're harder to get a hold of now.
Yeah, they're much harder to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you put that in the tray or underneath
No,
the
you
tray?
can't get heating cables from the they don't.
It goes underneath the tray. Goes underneath like that, and then the tray goes on top. Yeah. Yeah.
Where?
I can't remember what it's called. It's, you know, where the city buses all congregate?
Yeah.
It's on